Good evening, I'm Nancy Parker.
And I'm Kim Holden. This bizarre case involves a late-night traffic stop. Rob Masson reports.
And Kim and Nancy, federal sources say the van was designed to kill, and the two men under arrest are being held without bond because a judge says they represent a danger to the community. It happened on this quiet stretch of East William David Parkway in Old Metairie 2 months ago.
The officer on the street did one heck of a job.
According to a Jefferson Parish Sheriff's report, a deputy received a tip about two men driving a van with a stolen license plate. He spotted the van driving on Metairie Road and followed it to a home in the 200 block of East William David. The report states that as the deputy approached the van, he saw both the passenger and the driver get out. While the stop was for a stolen license plate, the report details that JP deputies found much more.
This is a classic unsophisticated vehicle that can be used for assassination.
According to the report, investigators found the van stripped and rigged with custom sliding windows, one behind the driver's seat, the other at the rear. Inside at both windows were sawed-off kitchen chairs facing outward. In a folded piece of carpet, deputies found a Ruger semi-automatic rifle. Hidden in one of the side doors was a silencer, and behind the driver's seat, an 8-foot-long piece of cannon fuse. According to an alcohol, tobacco, and firearms spokesperson, their bomb expert was called in to assist.
When you look at the silencer, the .22 is an assassin's weapon of choice.
At the time of the stop, Jefferson Parish deputies had not yet realized they had pulled over a pair of convicted felons. The driver, 72-year-old Dominic Gullo, and the man initially believed to be his passenger, 55-year-old Joseph Gagliano. Deputies arrested Gullo and charged him with possession of stolen property. Gagliano was released. No weapons charges were filed by Jefferson Parish. However, 1 month later, the federal government indicted both men for being felons in possession of a weapon and a silencer.
Any felon, convicted felon, in possession of a weapon after the conviction has an automatic 5-year exposure in federal government.
This is not Gagliano's first brush with the law. He was convicted back in the mid-1990s in a wide-ranging video poker corruption scheme allegedly involving some of the country's biggest crime families. Joseph Gagliano was one of 19 people arrested and convicted in the worldwide gaming case back in 1996 and was sentenced to 3.5 years in a federal prison. Now both he and Gullo are being held without bond, awaiting federal trials as investigators try and discover what, if anything, the van may have been used for.
I think this effort here perhaps was targeting an individual. And for the good work of that police officer, that individual is alive today.
Now, the ATF says the case remains open and the investigation ongoing. Gullo attorney Patrick Hand told us that his 72-year-old client has a heart condition, which he says jailers are treating appropriately. He would not get into specifics of the case, but says his client is pleading not guilty. Both men denied knowledge of the contents inside the van. We were not able to reach Gagliano's attorney.
Has a trial date been set for this?
Trial date has been set for August. However, there have been a number of delays in this case already. A lot of documents being filed under seal, and a lot of people believe that trial date is going to be pushed back.
Certainly don't see cases like this very often.
Very unusual.
All right, Rob. You can take a look at the slideshow of the pictures online that shows how this van was customized. To see it, just go to our website, fox8live.com.
This is a classic unsophisticated vehicle that can be used for assassination.
A Fox 8 Investigate follow-up exposes how investigators say they tracked down a van rigged to kill. Good evening, I'm John Snell.
And I'm Nancy Parker. Federal agents try to unravel the mystery behind what's being described as an assassination van found in Metairie.
It's a story we brought you first last week on Fox 8. Now the two men are in custody. The focus turns to any intended targets. Rob Masson has that.
And John and Nancy, right now 2 men have been indicted, a trial date set, and investigators are still digging. Dominic Gullo and Joseph Gagliano remain behind bars tonight after they were arrested in this van with a stolen license plate. The initial Jefferson Parish police report said the van was reported by a source, but we've now learned that source was a camera programmed to spot stolen plates. Jefferson Parish says it's got nearly 100 such cameras looking for stolen cars. And former FBI Special Agent James Bernazzani says the apparent effort to conceal ownership seems to have backfired.
The clean vehicle basically is an Achilles heel. because even though it's clean, you run the gamut of engaging in law enforcement, answering questions, why isn't it registered?
That's exactly what happened the night of May 7th. An alert deputy got the report of the vehicle with the stolen plate being spotted on Metairie Road. Hours later, he saw it as it approached East William David Parkway and followed it into the 200 block, where the deputy pulled it over and saw Gullo and Gagliano emerge. As deputies searched the van, they discovered two sawed-off kitchen chairs positioned in front of two cut-out sliding windows. They also found a Ruger .22 semi-automatic rifle, a silencer inside the door, and an 8-foot length of cannon fuse. In the rifle was a 10-round magazine containing 8 live rounds.
Not selling snowballs. This is a classic unsophisticated vehicle that can be used for assassination.
But where did the van come from? The police report quotes Gullo as saying he bought the van for $300 from a woman he met at a coffee shop. Gullo said she promised to deliver paperwork the next day. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms was initially called out to investigate possible bomb activity due to the discovery of the bomb fuse. Now ATF Special Agent Kevin Moran confirms that the ATF and the JPSO are actively investigating the case to see if there were any intended targets. The ATF also says Gullo is being charged with possession of an unlicensed silencer. Gagliano is being charged with being a felon in possession of a gun and a silencer after being convicted in the 1996 Worldwide Gaming case, which found alleged mob influence in the Louisiana video poker industry.
The mafia was very, very strong in the 60s. Then the FBI got a tool called RICO.
That racketeering tool was used to convict Gagliano and others in the worldwide scheme. Now both he and Gullo are being held in federal custody without bond, awaiting an August trial date. And we initially reported that Gullo was being charged with being a felon in possession of a firearm and a silencer. We have now learned that he's only being charged with possessing the unregistered silencer. Federal rules regarding possessing silencers are strict. Gullo could face up to 10 years if convicted.
Rob, you gave us a little background on Gagliano, but what do we know about Gullo?
All we know about Gullo is that he was licensed to operate a gambling facility in Nevada, and you have to have a pretty clean record to do that. Gagliano's got much more history with regard to the Worldwide Gaming case.
Okay, thanks. You can click through a slideshow of pictures online showing how the van was customized. To see it, go to fox8live.com.
New developments in the arrest of 2 men caught in a van, which one former FBI agent says appeared to be rigged for assassination.
One of the defendants in federal custody asked the court to move him to a different facility because of his health. Rob Masson has the latest in this Fox 8 investigation.
It was a shocking discovery in Old Metairie 2.5 months ago. A gutted van with 2 cutout windows and a semi-automatic rifle. One of the men arrested, 72-year-old Dominic Gullo, filed an emergency motion last week to be transferred to a medical facility. In that motion, Gullo's attorney said he's in severe decline since his arrest. After Gullo filed this motion, he went to a hospital for treatment of complications from heart disease and blood disorders. He was treated and released back to the prison. Gullo, who was the first manager of the Star Casino at South Shore Harbor, and Joseph Gagliano are being held without bond. The two were stopped in a van with a stolen license plate in Metairie May 7th. Former New Orleans FBI Special Agent in Charge, Jim Bernazzani, said the van, outfitted with 2 kitchen chairs, a semi-automatic rifle, a silencer, and a length of bomb fuse, was a potential killing machine.
I know there are allegations of ties to organized crime. Certainly there's physical evidence relative to the van and the window and the weapon and the silencer. They're not deer hunting.
Gagliano has a criminal history, having been sentenced to 3.5 years in prison in the mid-90s in the Worldwide Gaming case. It was a case in which federal prosecutors alleged mob ties in the state's then-fledgling video poker industry. During his trial, the FBI testified that Gagliano was once recorded asking a New York crime boss how to handle someone who wouldn't pay a $10,000 debt. Gagliano was told, "That's how our guys get killed. That's how we take care of people like that. That's how they find people in the trunks of cars."
The Worldwide Gaming case basically was an example of an organization that got greedy and at times foolish.
Now Gagliano faces a 2-count indictment for being a felon with a firearm and a silencer. The judge denied his bond, and his reason was, quote, defendant is a danger to the community based on the nature of the offense. Gullo remains held in a St. Charles prison on a federal charge of having an unregistered silencer. A judge denied Gullo's request to be transferred to a medical facility after the court found his care was adequate. Rob Masson, Fox 8 News.
The FBI was initially called in on this case, but it's now being investigated by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms due to the alleged weapons violations. A trial date for Gagliano and Gullo has been set for next month.